Buying apartments off the plan has a number of risks. Let me just run through some of the key risks that you can take. The first one is the contract itself. Now, what are you getting? Most apartment contracts that I have seen that outline the inclusions, the fixtures and the fittings, the quality of what you're getting is not specified. So there's nothing to prevent the developer going down to the cheapest supplier and providing you with the cheapest stuff money can buy. Now, unless the contract specifies the brand and the quality that's used, then you could be getting anything. And more often than not, you're more disappointed than pleased. The next risk that you can take is that developers are required by their financier to get a certain number of pre-sales. So that number could be 50, 60% of the total development. So if you're one of the first buyers, you pay your deposit for your property and he doesn't achieve the pre-sales, he can cancel the project. Now, 12 months could go by before you actually been notified that this project isn't going ahead anymore. And yes, you'd receive your deposit back. But the issue is, it's taken you out of the market for 12 months and you could have bought elsewhere and profited. So that's a real danger, is that if he doesn't approve the pre-sales, his contract will allow him to cancel the project. Assuming, of course, that you're able to get a contract that has really detailed specifications to what you're going to get for your money, and the developer doesn't require pre-sales or has achieved a number of pre-sales. It's possible that inside that contract, he has what he calls as a sunset clause. Now, we think of sunset as being, invokes a nice image. Well, a sunset clause says that unless this property is completed by a certain time, it goes to bed. In other words, it's cancelled. So the developer, if he hasn't completed the project by a certain point, he can cancel your contract. Now, what I've experienced in the past is that a project started some 2 years ago. The developer has obtained his pre-sales. He has started to construct the property, but for one reason or another, he's running late and he's not going to make the sunset clause time. Now, both parties can agree to extend the sunset period, but the developer has no obligation to do so. So what I've seen happen in the past, over those 2-year period, the price the developer initially sold the properties for and the price of them now is significantly higher. So it's in his commercial interest to cancel your contract and take a new, much higher price contract. And there's nothing that you can do to stop that from happening. There are other issues as well, and that is that what if the developer goes broke halfway through the project? And that happens as well. Well, if that happens, again, your project is tied up. It stalls, money's got to be found. Normally it's insured by the Building Services Council, but you could face significant delays in having the project, from once it's stopped, to get restarted again. That is an issue. Another question you may want to ask yourself is that who is buying into the development? Now, what I say by that is that a good mix between owner-occupiers and investors is approximately 70%, 30%. 70% owner-occupiers, 30% investors. If you're buying into a project that has 100% investors, and many apartment projects are targeted just to investors, who's actually buying your unit? And I would suggest that you stay away from any property that has more than a 70-30 mix. As an investor, I would suggest to you is that having the building, having your apartment complete is not the end goal. It is just, that is actually signifies the beginning, not the end. Your journey as an investor begins at that point. What a developer will do is that his building is now under warranty and he provides the warranty. So what the developers normally do is that they retain control of the body corporate. They are the dominant partner in a body corporate relationship. If there's a problem with the property, you go to the body corporate, who in turn is supposed to go to the developer to fix the problem. Now, this is a little bit like complaining about your mother-in-law to your wife. Right? That is that he's in control. There's only a statutory time where he's responsible for the building. If he's in control of the body corporate, he can delay the project until such time as the statutory period is finished, and the problem now rests with all the owners of the building. So that's another big problem, is the developer getting a hold of the body corporate. Now, most of the complaints that come from apartment buildings relate to noise, the acoustics between the units, and water damage. And some of these things can be extremely expensive to rectify later down the track. The trouble with apartments is that in the real estate field, it is the underlying land that appreciates in value far faster than the physical building itself. It's the land component that goes up. It's the land that's worth all the value. How often do you see, when you go down to the beach, you see this broken down old home on a beautiful block of land? It's quite clear to see that example being put in play. So when you get an apartment, the land value is a fraction of what you pay for the property. Right? And it's land value that appreciates. So the potential capital growth, as opposed to an individual house on its own individual block, is far different than what it is in an apartment building. Okay, so in summary, it's the contract. Remember, it is written for the developer, by the developer, to protect the developer, not you, the purchaser. Don't forget that part. Number two is the land component in an apartment is tiny. It's the land that grows in value. And the third aspect is control. The body corporate controls the property. You don't. So there's quite a number of risks taking in buying an off-the-plan apartment. Having said all those things, in some cases, they can be the most appropriate type of property for you, but I would be very careful going in there that you have your lawyers thoroughly check your contract, you know exactly what you're getting, you know where the developer can get out if he wants to get out, and then you can go into this project with your eyes wide open so there are no nasty surprises for you later down the track.